The next world war may not begin over an oil field. It may begin when one country decides to control the factories that transform minerals into batteries, chips, electric vehicles, weapons, and artificial intelligence. Because in the 21st century, owning the resource is no longer enough. The real power belongs to whoever controls the process. Imagine two countries. The first has lithium, cobalt, graphite, copper, or rare earths beneath its soil. The second has the refineries, chemical plants, engineers, patents, supply networks, and factories needed to transform those materials into products the modern world cannot function without. Which country has more power? The answer may surprise you. The country with the mine owns the resource, but the country with the processing plant may control the future. Processing is the industrial stage between extraction and final use. A mineral taken from the ground is usually not ready to power a vehicle, build a missile, manufacture a microchip, or operate an artificial intelligence system. It must be crushed, separated, purified, chemically converted, refined, shaped, and integrated into a component. That component may then become part of a battery, an electric motor, a radar system, a smartphone, a satellite, or a fighter aircraft. This middle stage is often called the midstream of the supply chain, and it is where much of the strategic leverage is concentrated. The mine may be visible, the processing plant may be less visible, but the processing plant is often where raw material becomes usable power. A major processing facility is not easy to replace. It may require billions of dollars in investment, reliable electricity, industrial water, specialized machinery, chemical inputs, skilled workers, environmental permits, and access to ports and railways. It may take years to build and even longer to reach commercial scale. This creates a choke point. A choke point is a narrow point in a wider system where disruption can create consequences far beyond the physical location itself. A processing plant may occupy only a small area on a map, but its products may be embedded in thousands of factories across the world. China's strategic advantage in critical minerals is not simply that it has minerals underground. Its major advantage is that it built processing and manufacturing capacity across the supply chain. China dominates important parts of rare earth separation, battery materials, graphite processing, lithium refining, permanent magnets, and other industrial inputs. The International Energy Agency reported that China was the leading refiner for 19 of 20 strategic minerals, with an average share of around 70%. It also accounted for approximately 91% of rare earth separation and refining. Other assessments similarly show that China's influence is strongest in the midstream, between the mine and the finished product, not necessarily because every resource originates there. This is the crucial distinction. A country does not need to own every mine to gain leverage over the entire market. It may only need to control the stage that everyone else depends on. Once a country controls a critical processing stage, it gains several tools. It can restrict exports, it can impose licensing requirements, it can delay shipments, it can prioritize domestic manufacturers, it can use price pressure to weaken competitors, or it can make new projects outside its territory financially unattractive. This does not look like a traditional military attack. No tanks need to cross a border, no missiles need to be launched. But if factories cannot obtain the materials they need, production can slow, prices can rise, and military readiness can be affected. Semiconductors provide perhaps the clearest example of why processing capacity is strategic. Chips are essential to communications, transport, medical systems, energy networks, artificial intelligence, and modern weapons. Advanced semiconductor manufacturing depends on extremely specialized fabrication plants, equipment, software, materials, and technical knowledge. This is why semiconductor supply chains have become central to the strategic rivalry between the United States and China. Governments are no longer treating advanced chips as ordinary commercial products. They are restricting access to chips, equipment, software, and manufacturing expertise because these capabilities influence military and technological power. The lesson from semiconductors is clear. The most strategically important asset may not be the raw material. It may be the facility capable of turning technology and materials into a product that cannot easily be replaced. The same logic applies to batteries. Electric vehicles, renewable energy storage, drones, mobile devices, and military systems all depend on batteries and the materials inside them. But lithium, cobalt, nickel, graphite, and manganese do not become batteries simply because they are mined. They must be processed into high-purity chemicals, cathode materials, anodes, cells, and battery packs. This is why batteries are no longer just an industrial issue. They are an energy security, transportation, defense, and national competitiveness issue. A country that controls the battery chain can influence electric mobility, energy storage, consumer electronics, and military logistics at the same time. But let us be precise. Saying that future conflicts may focus on processing plants does not mean oil is becoming irrelevant. Oil still powers aviation, shipping, military operations, transport, petrochemicals, plastics, and much of global logistics. Refineries are themselves processing plants. Pipelines, ports, storage terminals, and fuel distribution networks are also choke points. So the future is not simply processing plants instead of oil. The deeper reality is processing plants, energy routes, and oil infrastructure together. A refinery needs crude oil. A mineral processing plant needs electricity. A semiconductor fab needs water, chemicals, and reliable power. An AI data center needs chips and enormous amounts of electricity. Strategic industries are connected. This debate is especially important for Africa. The continent possesses many of the minerals needed for batteries, energy systems, electronics, and advanced manufacturing. But in many cases, African economies remain concentrated at the extraction stage. Raw ore leaves the country, processing happens elsewhere, components are manufactured elsewhere, the highest value products are assembled elsewhere, and the technology, finance, and intellectual property often remain outside the resource-producing country. This creates a dangerous imbalance. Africa may possess the raw materials of the future without controlling the industries built around them. The strategic question for African governments is not only how much mineral can we export, it is how much of the value chain can we control. Building processing capacity could create jobs, tax revenue, technical skills, industrial suppliers, and stronger bargaining power. But a processing plant does not automatically produce development. If it is foreign-owned, imports most of its equipment and labor, receives generous tax concessions, consumes local resources, and exports almost all its output, the host country may gain less than expected. Governments must negotiate for more than extraction revenue. They need local employment, skills transfer, environmental protection, reliable power, supplier development, transparent taxation, and regional manufacturing links. The objective should not be to reject foreign investment. The objective should be to ensure that foreign investment builds domestic capability rather than simply relocating extraction. Now, is a world war over processing plants inevitable? No. The phrase is powerful because it captures the seriousness of the competition, but it should not be interpreted literally. Countries have many ways to respond before using military force. They can diversify supply chains, develop substitutes, recycle materials, build stockpiles, create allied production networks, and negotiate new trade agreements. However, the risk of confrontation increases when a strategic facility is highly concentrated, difficult to replace, and connected to military capability. A crisis might begin with an export ban, then come sanctions and retaliation. A cyber attack disrupts a refinery. A government seizes a foreign-owned facility. Naval forces protect shipping. A local incident escalates. The conflict may start as an industrial dispute and become a security crisis. The new battlefield is therefore not limited to the mine or the oil field. It includes, these facilities may never be attacked directly. They can be pressured through sanctions, sabotage, ownership battles, export controls, cyber attacks, or political influence. The old resource question was, who owns the oil? The new question is, who controls the system that turns raw materials into power? Oil will remain important, mines will remain important, but the decisive advantage may belong to the country that controls the refining capacity, the industrial knowledge, the technology, the energy, and the logistics connecting the entire chain. So the next world war may not be fought over processing plants in the literal sense, but the next major geopolitical confrontation may be decided by them. This is day 2 of the Global Chokepoints series. In the next episode, we examine the country at the center of the critical minerals battle and ask whether China's processing advantage can actually be challenged. Subscribe and follow the series. Then comment below, which is more powerful, a country that owns the mineral or a country that controls the factory that makes the mineral useful?